All right, 2 games left to go in the regular season for your Pitt basketball Panthers. They'll play tomorrow night at NC State and wrap up the regular season on Saturday against Boston College at home. We could talk about those games, but I don't think you're all that interested. We can talk about matchups or whatever tomorrow ahead of the NC State game. But I'm guessing you're a little bit less interested in matchups and more interested in the state of this team, the state of this program overall, and where they're headed as they approach really the end of the season. ACC tournament next week after they get through this NC State and Boston, these 2 games against NC State and Boston College. The matchups probably don't interest you all that much. Yeah, there was yesterday was the ACC coaches teleconference, and Jeff Capel was asking, what can you tell us about NC State? And the response on the message board was like, why are you asking about NC State? Nobody cares about this game. Nobody cares about the matchups. I mean, the reality is we'll all be watching the game one way or the other. And we'll be talking about it in the live thread on Panther-Lair.com and all of those things. But I understand the sentiment that it's a forest and trees type of situation when you're breaking down the matchups in a game like this NC State game tomorrow night that's coming at the end of the year, with a huge slide after starting 12-2. And so I understand that you might feel like that's not really the most important thing right now when they're 4-11 over their past 15 games. And so I understand that. And it's more about big picture. It's about where is this program going? What is this team doing? I'm going to kind of meet you in the middle on this. All right, we're not going to sit here and necessarily break down the matchups against NC State, although we will a little bit. And we're also not going to sit here and do state of the program because, damn, man, we do that every day. I can't sit down every day and say this program is headed in this direction and this needs to happen and this needs to change. I mean, we've said these things over and over again, and we'll keep saying them for sure, and because it's part of the conversation overall. But I'm going to meet you in the middle a little bit between talking about these last 2 games and talking about where this program is, where it's headed, and where it needs to go next year, or how it can get to where it needs to be next season. And so what we're going to do today, our little thought exercise here, and this is one of these ones where I'm going to give you my ideas, and I'd like to, I'd like to get a little feedback either in the comments here on YouTube or on the message boards at Panther-Lair.com. What does Pitt need to do in these last 2 games? And not just, well, they need to win. Okay. Right. Aside from that, what are some things you would like to see Pitt do in these last 2 games? What are some things you would like to see from this team, these players, this coaching staff as they take on 2 of the bottom teams in the conference? I mean, there's not much below NC State and Boston College when it comes to the ACC. There's Miami, and Pitt already beat them. But there's not a lot. If you're looking for the basement of the conference, NC State and Boston College are pretty firmly in place down there. So as Pitt takes on these 2 teams that Pitt should beat, even on the road at NC State, the Panthers should win. What do you want to see from them? Because I feel like it would be rather unsatisfying if Pitt were to go out and beat NC State tomorrow night 73-67 with the same old lineup things, and Jalen Lowe playing 37 minutes and Ishmael Leggett playing 38 minutes, and both guys logging 20 minutes in the second half and just playing the same way and doing the same things. And even if they come out with a win, you'd be like, well, okay, that's great that they won, but what did you accomplish? And I'm not gonna, I won't go fully down the path of saying Pitt should use these last 2 games in the ACC tournament as a means to prepare for next year, but I also don't think it can be fully removed from your mindset if you're Jeff Capel. I mean, I think there's a middle ground, there's a balance of trying to win these games and win as many as you can, and also giving yourself a chance to prepare for next season and giving yourself a chance to build a little bit for next year. And so let's try and find that balance. Let's try and find that middle ground. What do you want to see out of Pitt over the final 2 games in the regular season and however much the ACC tournament brings? I'll give you my thoughts, what I want to see out of the team, and we'll get your feedback in the comments on YouTube and on the message boards at Panther-Lair.com. Let's jump into it. It's the Tuesday edition of the Morning Pitt here on YouTube.com/Panther-Lair.com. All right, it's Tuesday, the Morning Pitt, youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. I'm Chris Peak from Panther-Lair.com. Still Panther-Lair.com, still the Morning Pitt, still all the things that we always do. It's the new Panther-Lair.com, which is a lot like the old Panther-Lair.com. It's just in a new place. Of course, we're on the 24/7 Sports Network now. It's very exciting to be there. Hopefully you'll come over and check it out. And if you haven't yet, limited time offer, 75% off your first year. I mean, 75%. If someone gives you 75% off of anything, you should probably do it. Even if it's something you're not that interested in, it's just too good of a deal to pass up. It's like $25 or $26 for the year, like for a year of coverage. I can guarantee you that every month there will be something that happens, either one individual event or cumulatively, that you'll be like, wow, that was worth the $2 I spent on this month of Panther-Lair.com. So go check it out, Panther-Lair.com on the 24/7 Sports Network. In the upper left corner, you'll see, get the promo, 75% off the first year. So come and check it out. Come and hang out. So some things I want to see out of these next couple of games. What are we looking for here? I mean, you could probably guess where I'm going to start. I want to see more Brandon Cummings and Amsal Delilich. I can't help it. I'm hooked into these two guys. I think they should play. I think every time they play, they learn something. They gain something. I think a lot of times when they've played, they look like they're improving. And I don't think they sacrifice your chances to win the game all that much. Amsal Delilich was the only guy on the team with a positive plus-minus from the Louisville game. Now, granted, he only logged like 3 minutes, but he was not just an innocent bystander during that stretch. When he played, I mean, the bulk of his minutes, I think he got in at the very end and it pushed him up close to 3 minutes. But really, he played 2 minutes and 21 seconds in the first half. Got in around the 9:54 mark, came out around the 7:33 mark. In that span, when he came in, 2 minutes and, 2 minutes and 21 seconds, Pitt outscored Louisville 6-2. And he was not, as I say, an innocent bystander there. He made a 3. There were 3 baskets scored. Jalen Lowe made a 3. I forgot, Edwards or somebody made a fast break basket for Louisville. And then Amsal Delilich drained a 3. like he's not going to be the savior this season. He's not going to take you. I mean, I still holding out hope for that miracle ACC tournament run where he captivates the nation. It would be great. Highly unlikely to happen, particularly with the minutes that he's getting. But get him on the court. Let him learn. And again, you don't have to give up on the season to do this. And same thing with Brandon Cummings. You don't resign yourself. You say, well, we're not going to go anywhere anyway. We might as well play the freshman. I actually think they can help you. I actually think they can help you win. Are they perfect? No. Do they make mistakes on both ends of the court? Absolutely. Are they going to do that when you're on the floor? Yeah, that's going to happen. But they also have a lot of upside. They have a lot of potential, and they're going to learn from every time they get out there. These guys are part of your future, and we'll sit here and we'll assume that everybody comes back, that you're not going to lose. I don't know what I think Brandon Cummings will be back. I don't know what Amsal Delilich is going to do. I think it'd be really nice if he came back because I'd like to see him develop as a player. But let's assume they're coming back. I think if you're Pitt right now, unless they've already told you we're not coming back, in which case you don't need to put them on the court at all. Unless they've already told you that, get them out there. Assume they're coming back and get them out there and let them play. They can help you now, and it'll make them better prepared for next season. Brandon Cummings, look, so Pitt had 2 big runs in the game. They were down 4 points with about 15 and a half minutes to go in the second half, and they went on a 7-0 run to take a 3-point lead. And then they had a run in the second half, or later in the second half, I should say, from about the 9-minute mark to the 7-minute mark. It was an 8-0 run. Brandon Cummings was on the court for both of those stretches. Both. Now, I mean, he was on the court for a lot of other stretches. He ended up like a -3 on the game, so it's not like he was only out there when they were plus 15, but he was on the court for both of those stretches. It's not, to me, it's not a coincidence, or at least it's not something we should just overlook or hand wave away, that in those 2 big runs, a 7-0 run and an 8-0 run, your lineup was Jalen Lowe, Brandon Cummings, Ishmael Leggett, Zach Austin, and Guillermo Diaz-Graham. That might be your best overall lineup right now. It doesn't mean you need to play that lineup for 40 minutes, but that lineup gives you a chance to win. And it happened in that game. Now, they, gave up a few buckets to Louisville. Louisville started going on a run and got back ahead 60, like after that 8-0 run, right? Pitt got the lead 62-59. Louisville scored back-to-back baskets. And Jeff Capel pulled Brandon Cummings and put Cam Corrin back on the court, and Pitt only made 2 baskets the rest of the way. Connected? Not connected? I don't know. Corrin ultimately fouled out, and I forget who came back in. If Cummings came back in or Papa Amadou, it didn't matter at that point. Pitt was down by 6, with a minute 20 left to go, it was highly unlikely they were going to come back. But my point is this. During those runs, they had Brandon Cummings on the court. During those runs, Guillermo Diaz-Graham was playing the 5. During those runs, the coaches can sit back and evaluate how much each individual player had to do with those runs. But I'm looking at winning basketball. Who's playing winning basketball? And not just who's playing winning basketball, who's on the court for you when you, as a team, are collectively playing winning basketball. Because there's 2 runs right there where the same lineup is playing and gets, combined 15-0 advantage. And again, it wasn't... Got a weird thing in my throat there. I mean, I could take that lineup and figure out what they were for the entire game. I'm guessing they weren't plus 15. But I'm guessing that it probably looked pretty good, and they certainly looked good in those stretches. So keep going to him. There's no reason Brandon Cummings can't play 8 to 12 minutes each half, if not more. What did he finish with minutes-wise against Louisville? I forget the final number. They played 14 minutes. I think you could bump that up even a little bit more. I think he could play 8 to 12 minutes each half. And I'll tell you what else I think you could do, which I think would be interesting, just to see what it produces. Every now and then, not the whole game, not even the whole, all of the minutes when Brandon Cummings is on the court, but maybe for a few stretches here and there, move Jalen Lowe off the ball. Move him off the ball. Put him on a wing. Put him in the 2 spot, wherever you want, however you want to settle it out. But move him off the ball. Have Ishmael Leggett run the point. Have Brandon Cummings run the point. Have Amsal Delilich run the point. Just see what happens when Lowe is off the ball. I don't know if he's going to, I don't know if you're going to hit him with catch and shoot threes, but maybe he can go around an off-ball screen and drive to the hoop. We know he's good at driving, so maybe instead of dribbling around for 12 seconds or 15 seconds or 16 seconds, hit him, coming off a screen. Let him flare to the hoop. Maybe you'll get something out of it. And maybe you'll find a new way to use a guy who's been used kind of one way the whole season long. And I'm far more interested in seeing Cummings and Delilich get on the court than I am in seeing Jalen Lowe move off the ball. But I think at least for a little bit, you could try it. At least for a little bit, you could give him some time off the ball and see if maybe it results in good things. Maybe it turns into some points. You know what else would be interesting to see? A little more zone. A little more pressure. And you have to pick and choose what kind of teams you're going to do that against. And maybe, honestly, tomorrow night's game might not be a great one for pressure given the strength of NC State's guards. But the fact that, Marcus Hill, NC State's leading scorer, has only attempted 37 threes. And Jeff Capel said it yesterday in the ACC teleconference that they have guards who drive. They have guards who get downhill and go to the basket. Well, you know what? You've got length. You've got the Diaz-Graham twins. They're big. They can stretch their arms pretty far. Maybe run zone out there. Try it. See if it works a little bit better. Maybe you'll find out your team is better capable of playing a certain way. And it's not the kind of thing you can just, I think there have been times this year when they've played a zone defense and it hasn't always worked out great. It hasn't always looked great. Sometimes it's worked and sometimes it hasn't. And I think that's because you're not really fully committed to doing it all the time. Well, you've got an extra day here. You're not playing Tuesday night this week. You're playing Wednesday night. So you have one more day than you had last week, going Saturday to Wednesday this week. Spend a little more time on it. Mix in the zone. Zach Austin, the Diaz-Graham twins, even Austin and just one Diaz-Graham, because I think you should have Austin at the 4 and Guillermo at the 5. Use that length a little bit. Maybe you'll find a little more success. So I just try it out. It's like taking Lowe off the ball. Just try it out. Maybe you'll find that it works. And coaches don't like to experiment like that. I don't think coaches like to change things up that much just to see if it works. But when you're looking for answers like Pitt is, or at least like they should be, and Jeff Capel yesterday sounded like he's looking for answers, I mean, I think you have to be open to different options. I think you have to be open to getting a more even split of time at the center position with Guillermo Diaz-Graham and Cam Corrin. Even, or maybe even favoring the minutes for Guillermo at that spot. And I mean, I'll admit for the 100th time that I'm late to the party on that one. I'll also admit for the 100th time that a lot of people have been saying it for a really long time. I've been saying it for a while now. That we'd like to see it. I mean, I used to sit here and pore over the substitutions in the legal pad, the box scores and everything to figure out the plus minus with Guillermo at the 5. And it was always pretty encouraging. I had a spreadsheet. I even had a spreadsheet built of Guillermo's performance when he was at the 5 as the lone center on the court. And I mean, it favored Guillermo playing there more. It favored him being the guy. So do it more. Get Cummings and Delilich on the court more. Give Lowe some time where he's off the ball. Play a little more zone. Maybe even press at times. And again, that tomorrow night may or may not be the ideal situation for that, but maybe even press at times. And then play Guillermo more at the 5. You're facing two of the worst teams in the conference coming up here. NC State's 11-18 overall, 4-14 in the ACC. Boston College is 12-17 and also 4-14. Pitt is not great at 16-13 and 7-11 in the ACC, but they've got a better record than either of those two teams. And to be honest, if you win, nobody's going to care. I mean, it's just like nobody's going to be like, Pitt is back. They are figuring it out. And if you lose, quite frankly, I mean, people already want to pay Jeff Capel's buyout. So like, how does it get worse than that? People aren't going to show up for the Boston College game. They didn't show up for the Georgia Tech game. It's like, and again, I don't think a coach will or probably even should take the approach of, well, who cares? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff out there and see what sticks. I don't think a coach would do that, but I think these are some of these things we're talking about, particularly Cummings and Delilich, Guillermo at the 5, and maybe even some zone. I think you can back them up with pretty solid data to say, hey, this might be worth exploring a little bit more. This might be something that can be good for the team. This might be an area where you can win. That can give you a little spark, create something different, and potentially get you over the hump. And while it's not going to change anyone's perception of the season, if you could finish the regular season with a couple more wins, if you could win these games, maybe you build a little momentum going into the ACC tournament. Maybe you win a couple games in the ACC tournament. And who knows, maybe you play Amsal Delilich enough in the next 2 games that he really gets his confidence up, and then he carries you through the ACC tournament. A girl can dream. Oh, well. Who knows? We'll see what they end up doing, but I think there are things they can do in these final 2 games to make them interesting. I think there are things they can do in these final 2 games to potentially make them more competitive. I think there are things they can do in these final 2 games that they really should take a look at. We'll see. My guess, like I said, it'll be a 73-67 game where the same guys are playing all the same minutes and not much changes. It's just that NC State is that bad this year, and you come out of it very unsatisfied. All right, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. Take advantage of the promo now. It's not going to last forever at Panther-Lair.com. That way you can get 75% off the first year of Pitt coverage. Panther-Lair.com. We'd love to see you over there. Come over and join the conversation. We're having a lot of fun. Come on in, boys. The water's fine. All right, have a great Tuesday. We will catch up with you tomorrow for game day edition of the Morning Pit right here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.